Hello world. Is this recording? All right. I've been going back and forth on whether I should share this the past few days, but since my time is near, I've decided to share my most closely guarded secret in hopes that it helps out some deserving people. Who knows? Maybe you're one of them. This simple secret is responsible for my family's wealth and good fortune for the past 20 years. Thanks to this, I've been able to go from barely scraping by to wealthy beyond my wildest dreams. I've been able to travel the world and provide more than enough for my family, all while keeping the one thing that matters most, time. And this has nothing to do with hard work. It doesn't have anything to do with luck, and you won't find it in any kind of law of attraction book, because this secret isn't about any of that. It's about activating a dormant part of the brain. As far as I know, only me, a few elites, and a handful of others know about this secret. And we've all used it to go from a life of lacking to a life of effortless wealth and abundance in a very short amount of time. And I can honestly say, without discovering this, I would still be living in a house I didn't love, doing things that didn't make me happy, just to make a buck, instead of spending time on what truly matters, family, my hobbies, and experiencing life. And with this secret, life quickly turned around for me and my family. We quickly went from renting a home in the rundown part of town to living in the same neighborhood as senators, governors, and actors. We went from trading time for money to owning multiple businesses that pay me whether I work or not and will provide for my children when I'm gone. We went from never leaving our home state to seeing the Great Wall of China, the towering skyscrapers of Dubai, the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, and so much more. And we went from always worrying about money to never thinking about it. All of this thanks to the secret I accidentally discovered 20 years ago. Now, the powers that be don't want me sharing this, but as of my recording this video, there are 3,194 billionaires in the world. There are 59.4 million millionaires out there, and 620,500 new millionaires are minted every day. So why not you? Why are good people like you stuck with less? Why are you always told to just work harder, work smarter, and wait until your turn? It's about time somebody showed you why. And more importantly, showed you how to get more, a lot more, without having to work harder, become smarter, or get luckier. And what you're about to see is the missing piece of the formula for manifestation. The missing piece that's based in science. And once you have this, you will have the full equation for wealth and abundance. This is the discovery they didn't want you to find. The missing piece the Vatican tried to hide from you. The secret that was removed from spiritual teachings, and that secret is how to experience heaven on earth, nirvana, enlightenment, by activating a hidden part of your mind that holds the key to wealth and abundance. And once you follow these 3 simple steps to do so, everything will come easy to you. New doors will swing open. You'll attract opportunities like a magnet that attracts steel. And instead of having to chase money or things, and instead of having to go get your desires, you'll just receive them effortlessly. And you can experience all of this without saying a single prayer, without meditation or visualization, without any hard work, because these are things everyone is already doing, and they still don't have the wealth and abundance you want. But what I'm about to share with you is something slightly different, something that could start to change your life as soon as tonight, but something that's highly controversial. And because of this, I'm not sure how long it'll be before this video gets deleted. But if you're here, I hope you get a chance to listen before it does. Because if I'm wrong, all you have to lose is a few minutes. But what if I'm right? You will hold the missing piece of the equation for wealth and abundance. And as a result, you'll be on the path to a richer life, a new starting point, and all the blessings and good fortune that comes with that. Relax and keep watching, because the path ahead of you is truly incredible. But before I share the secret with you, I need to take you back 20 years and tell you how it all came to be, so you know how it works in the first place. Because without this, you won't be able to have it work for you. My name is Danny Kelly, and I used to work hard. I was lower middle class to the bone, jamming myself, my wife, and my 3 kids into the smallest house on the block, while all my neighbors had it better than us. Their driveways held the newest model cars, while my car was one wrong bump away from breaking down. Other dads in the neighborhood took their family on vacations, while I could only afford to take my family on a walk through the park. The neighborhood kids swam in their pools during the summer, while my kids cleaned those pools for extra spending money. And even though I had 2 jobs and my wife worked too, it never seemed to be enough. And that lack of money didn't just stop us from affording what we wanted, but it also put a strain on our relationship. And soon, my wife and I were at odds. Night after night, we'd get into arguments over some little thing, but it always tied back to money. After our fights, I'd walk through the nearby church parking lot to think. I wasn't a religious man, but the church parking lot was empty at night, so it was the perfect place to walk and clear my mind. One night, I found myself in the church lot again, and as I walked, I wondered if I'd ever be able to give my wife and kids the future I wanted for them, because I felt stuck on a financial treadmill. No matter how hard I ran, I couldn't get ahead, while almost all my neighbors were effortlessly making 2, 5, even 10 times as much as me. I knew for a fact they weren't 10 times as smart as me. So what was the difference between them and me? I was about to find out the difference. Now, as I said before, the church parking lot was usually empty, but this night was different. On this night, I noticed the door to the chapel was open, and almost as soon as I noticed the open door, rain barreled down from the sky. I rushed inside the open door, and as soon as I entered, a voice greeted me. "Caught in the rain?" he chuckled. It was a priest. He reached his hand out and introduced himself as Father Michael, the head of St. Anthony's Church. The rain didn't look like it was going to slow down anytime soon, so I sat and chatted with him, having no idea this conversation was going to change my life for good. After a while, Father Michael looked at me and said, "Danny, you look a little bit tense. What seems to be weighing on you?" I looked at him, skeptical, but something about the genuine way he spoke that made me feel comfortable about spilling my guts. So I told him everything. I told him how I was tired of being the broke dad on the block. I told him how I was tired of being disrespected by my wife, and I told him I wanted a better life for myself, my wife, and most importantly, my kids. He looked at me with an understanding smile, and I remember exactly what he said to this day. He said, "Danny, you seem to be at a crossroads in your life, and I can tell you have a pure heart. So I'm going to share something with you on the condition that you never tell anyone else for both of our safety." His words gave me chills, but I nodded my head in agreement, and he went on to tell me about an earth-shattering discovery he made at the Vatican. More specifically, the discovery he made in the Vatican's secret archives. Now, if you don't know, that the Vatican's secret archives are restricted to a very specific group of people. You must be a researcher, you must be over 75 years old, and you can only request 3 specific texts a day. And the reason is these archives are said to hold knowledge of things found nowhere else. Things like evidence of alien life, lost biblical texts, prophecies, knowledge of the end of the world, and so much more. So these archives are only available to a select few, but Father Michael fit the bill. So while he was there, he took advantage. He requested 3 texts, all of which would fall into the category of lost biblical texts. And when he opened an ancient book of prayers dating back to 309 AD, a tattered piece of parchment fell out. On the parchment was an intricate diagram of a human brain. But the most interesting part was a line pointing right to the center of the brain. And next to the line was the word Elohim, the Hebrew word for God. This shocked Father Michael, because this diagram suggested that God wasn't in some faraway place, but that he was available here and now by accessing a very specific part of the brain. Now, Father Michael was skeptical of his finding, but as a truth seeker, he didn't want to rule anything out. So he spent the next few weeks deconstructing every chapter, every verse, and every book of the Bible, looking for things he hadn't seen before. Then he studied the spiritual texts of other religions, connecting the dots between their messages and the Bible. And after that, he studied the science of the brain to confirm all his findings. And after questioning everything and turning it upside down, Father Michael walked away with a groundbreaking finding, one that would help the deserving people of the world live lives full of abundance and wealth. Because Father Michael discovered that you can connect with God through a very specific part of the brain. And once you do, you get all the blessings, the abundance, and the bliss that millions around the world pray for daily, but few actually get. It all comes down to activating this hidden part of the mind. And when you're able to switch it on, life changes rapidly. Now, as he was telling me all this, I'll be honest, I was very skeptical. Father Michael picked up on my skepticism, and he was ready with a mountain of proof. He showed me the truth that's hidden in plain sight, the key to attracting abundance, the difference between those that have and those that want, the reason some get so lucky while others have to work hard, and you'll be amazed you haven't seen it sooner. Now, I'm going to pass down this secret to really giving up, but something deep inside me told me that I was close to my answer. So I dug into some research on the pineal gland, and I discovered that its nickname, third eye, was pretty accurate, because the pineal gland actually doesn't act like an eye. In fact, it has a retina in it, and that retina is sensitive to light. So whenever it's exposed to light, the pineal gland shuts down. And this finding led to a light bulb moment, because up until that point, I listened to Father Michael's recordings with all the lights on, but it seemed like that was what was stopping me. Maybe I had to listen in the dark. The solution seemed a little too simple to work, but at that point I was totally out of options. So that night, I closed the curtains, turned off the lights, and listened to the tracks. And then I went to bed as usual. I had no idea that the next day everything would change. It started at work. I was completely unstoppable, selling left and right. I couldn't get it no if I wanted to. It was almost too easy. And by the end of that day, I raked in over $3,617 worth of commissions, which was more than I ever made in an entire month. Maybe I just got lucky. But later that day, I received another letter from the IRS. The luck's over, right? Wrong. It's a secret, even from my own flesh and blood. And I was only going to share them with my kids once I passed. Since my kids have enough money to never work again and to take care of their kids in the same fashion, I think the world would be better served if I shared it with everyone. That's why I decided the world needs to know about this secret. Because I believe that when you sweep your own front porch, the whole world becomes cleaner. And when you listen to these recordings, you'll do more than just sweep your front porch. You'll be in position for a brand new one once I hand you these recordings. I call these recordings the last wish.